WhiskyJason here, Whiskey Live Dublin 2024, together with
Richard Lombard-Chibnall.
Very, very good. And this is your whiskey, I think.
It is. All right,
indeed. Tell me a little bit about this whiskey.
Well, I'm from a Scotch whiskey background,
right?
And I came across the opportunity for an Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to have, well, first of all, we got the name, which is huge.
Yeah.
And what I wanted.
What inspired you with this name? Not everyone knows Molly or Malone.
Yeah, there was two things really.
Yeah.
There was I live on a small island.
Right.
And there were fishing boats coming in, and we were big tides. And as the tide was coming in, this particular boat was out for catching scallops and stuff.
Right.
Anyway, we're sitting up on the harbour with my mates, having a few beers, and as the boat comes up, their engine had broken down, so a bit of a crack started off with the fishing crew, and they started chatting to them, and they said, "Come on board, start eating some of the Queenies," and then they asked me what I did. So I said, "In the whiskey business." I got a bottle of whiskey, came back, they started fast cooking the Queenies with the whiskey, and it was like cockles, mussels, whiskey, you know, and then that kind of like background, maybe that's where it came from. But what it really came from was I was watching. Well, I wasn't watching, I was listening to the radio in November 2016. The Irish playing the All Blacks in Chicago. And then it's the first time Irish beat the All Blacks. And all I could hear in the background after they won the game was cockles and mussels. You know, of which the heroine of the song is Molly Malone.
All right.
And then I'd had a massive motorcycle crash many years ago. And I was having another huge operation on my legs, and I was in the bath saying goodbye to my legs for about 6 months. I wasn't going to walk for some time, and while I was in the bath, when I was listening to the radio actually, the rugby, and then when I heard of the song, I started researching on my phone.
Right.
And initially I didn't really think too much about Molly Malone and whiskey, but the more I looked into it, in 1988 Dublin had its millennium, and that's when he unveiled the statue. And then the Dublin Millennium Commission declared, I understand, June the 13th to be National Molly Malone Day. And
I did not know that. All right.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then I looked into some more detail behind it, and I think Google reported more than 1 million hits of my name back in 2011. So lots of things were starting to show a little bit of interest. Anyway, and then of course the connection with the rugby. It was the rugby as well I was listening to originally. So when I started researching into the top Irish whiskey markets by consumption, I think all of the world's top 10 markets were competing nations in the Rugby World Cup.
Interesting,
And it kind of developed from that really, but I thought, well, what a great name. And then,
very good.
So we started looking at I paid an attorneys who checked it out for me, and it said, came back a week later and said it's never been patent protected. So I spent a couple of years taking that out in the main markets, had a little bit of contention in some areas, but you know, she's a very specific character in history.
It's true.
You know, whether it's legendary or not, is beside the point. It's kind of, and I think the main thing with Molly Malone, and the more I looked into it, the main thing about Molly Malone, she's a great representation of being Irish. So if you look at anything to do with Ireland, any celebration, Molly Malone is central to celebrating being Irish.
Gotcha.
And she transcends borders. There's no national borders. She transcends religion. There's no religious connection with it. And so the marketability of a name, I think, is it's just vast.
The potential is there.
And another way of looking at it is that we've all brands have got product life cycle. My way of looking at Molly Malone is the product life cycle of Molly Malone is
centuries.
But it's the relevance of being Irish. You know, so it's good. As soon as the Irish start being irrelevant, Molly Malone becomes relevant. But right now she's central to all Irish celebrations.
Good. Tell me a little bit of the whiskey. It says here a blend of different distilleries. So you have how many different distilleries in here?
3 or 4.
Okay, 3 or 4. Okay, very, very good. And your cask, you're 40%. You have 3 or 4, so that means bourbon cask. predominantly, or a little bit of sherry?
No, we've gone for second fill bourbon casks.
Okay, good.
And the reason being because the malt content within really what we wanted to have is a true representation of what Irish whiskey's about.
Okay.
Again, from a Scotch background, you'd say Scotch whiskey generally was double distilled, Irish whiskey generally triple distilled. If you look at the words of a song, I first set my eyes on Sweet Molly Malone, and that's exactly what triple distilled whiskies will be doing. Okay. So it's just a style of a triple distilled whiskey. And so the malt content is pretty light.
Right.
But what we wanted for second fill bourbon cask would keep the cask neutral to the whiskey within.
Right.
So I wanted people to have a lovely long palate without any overbearing influence. And we bottled at 40% ABV because anything higher than that, the alcohol is going to dominate the malt.
Right.
And what we've got together is a fantastically example of what an Irish whiskey should be about.
What would your tasting notes be? What is primarily the tasting note that you have when you try this? Or did you blend this together yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your creation.
Yeah. I think initially on the front of the palate, you have it's for me a benchmark of being an Irish whiskey is the crispness.
Okay, crisp.
You get that crispness, but then you get the palate's quite full. You get this cream coming through towards the end.
Good. Yeah.
Kind of interesting. Some people at the show have picked up smoky notes.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't particularly see that. However, my point is, I think the second fill bourbon casks, the charring of the casks, might possibly influence some of the charring.
But a little bit of barrel char there.
Yeah, and I think it gives it. She's got some great character to it. And we've got gold awards in America, in the Irish Whiskey Masters. So she's a great whiskey.
Great. This is available in what markets at the moment?
United States, Canada, Poland, and Ireland.
Okay, and the price in Ireland is going to be?
It's $49.99.
Okay, very good. Recommended retail price around there.
Yeah.
Very good. So thank you. I love your label design here, and I'm looking forward to seeing. Will there be another product as well from?
Yeah, we're definitely looking to try to develop the portfolio.
Yeah.
For me, symptomatic of Irish whiskey is the pot still. And I would love to do a pot still.
Okay.
And we're looking at different malt variations.
Right.
But right now, this is going to be our benchmark.
Your flagship at the moment, and then moving on to further expansion.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, can we find you online?
The Molly Malone Whiskey. So the Molly Malone Whiskey.com. That's it, yeah.
Very, very good. Thank you very much. WhiskyJason here together with
Richard, Lombard-Chibnall, good man.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers, thanks.